Today's video is sponsored by myself and my webshop hsMVY.shop. Please go check it out. The new website is now live and we're constantly adding new products to get you a better shopping experience and the best possible tools and materials for your hobby needs. Today's video has partially been made possible thanks to Atomstack. The tools that are shown in this video from Atomstack have been provided to me free of charge. I was not paid to say or do anything, and I had full creative freedom on this project and what I'm going to do basically, as that is what creative freedom means. Nonetheless, they have sent me out their A40 Max with the 40-watt laser module on it. You can set it to 40 watt or tone it down a little bit to a 24 watt. Or just use the laser engraving software to set it wherever you want and whichever speed and power you'd like to use it, of course, as usual with these lasers. Now there is a ton of information on this specific laser, all of the other products and lasers available on Atomstack, and of course those are listed on their website. I will be leaving links in the description down below, and I won't be boring you with all of those details. I'm just going to go over a couple of them in this video really quickly and then get to the main project. The laser that they have sent me is the A40 Max. Now the Max basically means that it is a bigger version of the A40. This one also comes with an air assist, a small screen that you can use to control the laser while using it, and of course the 48 watt, as they've called it here, laser module, which is a 40 watt but might be a 48 watt. It's a bit confusing, and a lot of those technical things go a bit above my pay grade. I'm just going to say that it's a 40 watt as that is what they advertise it at, even though it just said 48, but that's just me. So let's move on from me. In this case it is the Max, which means that it is wider 200%, so it's twice as wide as the normal A40. And they have also sent me a couple of accessories to use with this machine, as it's not really safe or preferred to use without. So since there is not a honeycomb bed available for this size of a laser engraver yet, they have sent me out two of the F4 laser engraving cutting honeycomb working table board platforms. Basically it's a honeycomb bed that you put underneath of the material that you're cutting or engraving, so that the air can pass through, and it is raised from the material underneath your table or whatever you prefer to have underneath your laser. Comes with a couple of accessories to hold down the material to the honeycomb itself and also to remove that, which makes it easier to keep it in place and or flatten out the material. And to keep it all enclosed, as this is a gantry style laser, which means that it's basically a tube frame with the laser on it, and it's fully open and visible from all sides and doesn't have an enclosure around it. I've also asked them to send me an enclosure or a tent to keep all of the laser beams inside of it and also help extract all of the fumes and keep them contained a little better instead of just going all over the place and spreading around. Sort of a spray booth and also a fire safety booth for the laser to keep all of the flames, fumes, and everything that might go wrong inside and keep it a little bit safer than just having it open and exposed. Now this of course comes with the main tent, some hosing, extractors, bolts, nuts, some tools as well. One thing I do want to note that this is quite a big enclosure for one of these laser engravers, as the engraver itself is pretty big too, but it only comes with one fan for the extraction, and that isn't really quite as strong as I'd like it to be. You could also buy a smaller one, which is pretty much half of this one with the same amount of extractors, but my advice to Atomstack, maybe add either a stronger extraction fan or add more. In any case, I'm really happy with all the accessories and available products for these lasers, and thank you Atomstack for sending these out and making this project possible. Now that you know what I have, what I got, and how I got it, it is time to set up the machine. It is partially assembled, needs a couple of frame pieces put together, some bolts and some nuts, and some plugs to be plugged in, but nothing really all that hard. And after just assembling that it is time to move on to the basic setup and to get onto laser engraving. So the laser module can be adjusted in a big way or in small portions, up and down, according to what you're going to be cutting or engraving on. And same goes for the air assist. You can turn it on full blast or turn it down just a little bit, again depending on what you're engraving and what you're trying to achieve. Now with that done for this specific material, it was time to do a first initial test, and I also like to do that with a sort of torture test, so to speak, with my logo. It is quite a complicated logo, has some small pieces, has some big pieces, but just overall, if this logo comes out successfully, then in my opinion the laser is set up pretty good and is ready to go. So time to move on to the actual project itself. If you know my videos, you might have seen my workbench and the setup of said workbench, and I have it filled with Hobbyzone modules. These are pretty much flat pack furniture style modules that you can assemble in pretty much any way, shape, form, configuration to your liking. They have many different ones available, and with that you can just get it pretty much any way you like it within the realm of their modules. Now they are still expanding it. I have mine set up pretty completely the way that I like it to be, so I'm really happy with that. But for some more creative freedom, you might not want to be forced into this setup of modules, but you want to create some of your own. And that is where Smartfuture Models comes in. Now this is not bashing Hobbyzone. I love their stuff. I'm really happy with my setup. But if you want to go outside of what they have to offer, then in this case it is possible to do that with a laser cutter or a CNC machine or any other tool you'd like to use. In this case I'm using the laser cutter. They have some of these modules available in their lineup of designs, but since I've already have a full setup from Hobbyzone and I really like the way that I've set that up, I'm not looking to change my workbench itself, but I'm actually looking to change my warehouse, add some more organization, change it up a bit and get it better suited for my needs as of the Webshop organization side of things. So if you don't know, I have a web shop, thescalemodelingchannel.com, where I sell model kits, tools, etc. Pretty much everything I use in my video is available on my web shop, and that needs a warehouse too. Now I used to have a pretty big warehouse, which was a little bit too big. The web shop wasn't doing as well as I'd wanted it to be, so I might have exaggerated on the size of that warehouse initially. I've since moved out of that warehouse and moved into a new one, which I will show you later on in the video, which is a lot smaller, a lot more compact, and therefore it needs a bit stricter and tighter organization. Now for that they have some designs on their Etsy store. You download these designs and then you need to cut them yourself. Now within these designs they sell them separately in small packs, in complete packs, in pretty much everything you'd want. I'd suggest to get all of them, as you do have the possibility to interchange some of these things with each other. But once you've decided which ones you want, what the material thickness is, have the laser set up, just load up the designs and start cutting. So to start some of the things off that I wanted to have in my organizational spacing thingy majig that I'm doing in the warehouse, I've chosen 3 of the designs for the Ikea Kallax system. Now this Ikea Kallax is a cabinet with some square holes in it. You can access it from both sides if you don't have it against the wall, or if you have it against the wall, it's just a cabinet with some squares in it. And you can buy the Ikea stuff, some doors, some drawers, etc. Or in this case, the Smartfuture Models designs that need to be cut yourself, but they slide in perfectly in that system, and you then have more organizational stuff that is better suited to your needs and or your likings. So in this case, I decided to go for 3 of them. It is quite a lot of work, as there's, in the ones that I've decided to do, a lot of different drawers and slides that needed to be made, and that took quite a lot of sheets of MDF. Now within the designs that Smartfuture Models has available, if you download one, it comes for a variety of different thicknesses of materials. Now in this case, the material that I use is a 6mm thick MDF. That is what is available. You can also have some thinner plywood or any other material in about 3 or 4 different thicknesses. And with it being a 6mm, that fits in perfectly with the available designs. And it is stronger than the thinner materials, of course, and suits my needs perfectly, as sometimes in some of the drawers I need some heavier materials and I don't want the cabinets to sag or the drawers to drop out at the bottom. So after cutting out all of them, they were assembled. Everything fits together really nicely and tightly too. So the laser is doing a really great job cutting very accurately. I didn't have any problems there. The parts fit together super easily and also held together without any glue most of the way. So that is already a sign of a good fitting part with good accuracy on the laser and also a great design from Smartfuture. Now you could glue these cabinets together, or these drawers in this case, but just to speed it up a little bit, I took out one of my nail guns, that is with compressed air, just pushing in some of the nails, keeping it together, and having the drawer ready within a matter of seconds. After assembling all of it, it's time to move on to my new warehouse, show you guys around just a little bit, give you a glimpse inside of my messy warehouse. Now, we've just moved in a couple of weeks ago and still are organizing some things besides our full-time jobs, so excuse the mess. It's quite horrible, but it's getting better and better every week or every 2 weeks or whenever we have time. Now, one of the things that was a bit of a pet peeve, I had a really big rack set up from evergreen, and that took up quite a lot of space, so I disassembled it and hung 2 of the main sides on the wall. But there were also some smaller pockets that were on the side of that racking system. Those took up quite a lot of space, and there were quite a few of them. So instead of hanging all of those on the walls as well, drilling a lot more holes that need to be filled when I get out of this office eventually, I decided to figure another way out, and that is by creating one of these models from Smartfuture that fits into the Kallax system, which makes it easy to organize them all. It is strong enough for all of these heavier materials to go into them, and it also helps organize them a lot better than just having them spread all around the warehouse. Now, one of the previous projects that I did with my laser cutter is still active in the warehouse as well, on top of this system, and it is still working great if you were curious about that. And if you weren't, then, well, now you know. So if you are building scale models, then you know that there's a ton of smaller tools, materials, etc. laying around your workbench, workshop, or whatever. And in this case, since I have a web shop, I have multiple of each item and a ton of those smaller items as well, and those need to be organized, otherwise they get lost and it's a lot harder to fulfill orders. Now, since these drawers are in different sizes, they fit different materials, and that is ideal for the storage system. Now, not all of them are filled yet, but they will eventually be filled with some of these materials. In this case, a lot of tapes, some polishing materials, some putties, some sandpapers, etc. And also, of course, some items from Scale Production, Highlight Model Studio. All of that would fit into these really nicely and neatly and have a great way of organizing them without taking up too much shelf space and just getting it a lot more organized, as that is the purpose of this video, of course, which you will probably have understood at this point after watching for 14 minutes or so. Nonetheless, one of the things that I did not really like about this design, the drawers are really deep, but I figured since the Kallax cabinet system could be accessed from the back depending on how you have it set up, I have asked Smartfuture if they can slice it in half, so you can do 2 smaller, thinner modules and have one on each side, so you can access it from both sides and have a bit more or better use of space. They thought that was a pretty good idea, so they might start working on that in the future. And if you are interested in one of those designs, do check out the links in the description down below to Smartfuture, and you can always contact them if you have ideas, suggestions, or questions about their designs, of course. So I've started laser cutting a long time ago and have started integrating that into the warehouse and the organizational side of things, and I'm finding more and more uses to do so, and I'm really happy to share that with you guys. Now, if you are interested in this kind of content, have any ideas or suggestions for videos, do let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out Smartfuture and, of course, Atomstack and my webshop, thescalemodelingchannel.com.